Do not you get me started on this.
Calling this Newington Board of Education meeting to order. It is Wednesday, April 19th, 2023. The time now is 7:03 p.m. Please rise as you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, would you please call the roll?
Michael Miranda.
Here.
Danielle Droz.
Here.
Dr. Bruce Fletcher.
Here.
Beth Mankey Hutt Wagner.
He's online.
Richard Laverius.
Here.
Amy Parati.
Here.
Sam Sharma. Jessica Wheeler.
Here.
Anastasia Yap.
Here.
We have everyone here except Mr. Sharma.
Who's unexpected, who's out of the country.
Okay, very good. At this time, we're going to move on to agenda item B, which is our presentations of awards and proclamations. And here from CABE is Lydia Tadone. You're up first. Make sure you turn that on.
Yes, so it flashes greener.
There you go.
Okay, can you hear me? Otherwise, I'm going to use my outside voice and, and round everybody up. But anyway, I'm so pleased to be here, and good evening, Dr. Brummett and the Board of Education. I feel like this is old home week. Truth be told, I lived in Newington back in the early 80s on Pebble Drive. And I was a member of the library board, so I have a lot of fond memories of Newington, Connecticut from those years. So as I was coming here today, I sort of took a little detour and kind of drove around to see what's going on in Newington. So I just have very dear memories, and Newington has a very special place in my heart. So with that being said, I'm a member of the Simsbury Board of Education, a long time member, and I've known Dr. Room for a long time. And I just realized that I know your sister, Deb Driscoll from Simsbury. So, it's like 6 degrees of Lydia Tadone. It's a very small state, very small world. But anyway, so I am here on behalf of CABE, Connecticut Association of Boards of Education, to present to the Newington Public Schools a few awards. And the first award, or it's actually a citation for an honorable mention. And you actually have two of these, and I'm sure you have very prominent places you can put these up in the Board of Ed office. And this is presented to Newington Public Schools, honorable mention, and this is for your Newington Public Schools Chromebook Support Hub. So this is for the 2022 Bonnie Carney Awards of Excellence Award. And I'll leave this here. The second one that you are receiving, you're really cleaning up in awards. I must tell you, I deliver a lot of awards around the state, but Newington's getting the gold star for the citations and awards and honorable mentions. Keep up the good work. Something good is happening in this district. So your second one is an honorable mention, and this is for the summer newsletter for families. So I think this is a great opportunity for you to share all this information with your school community and, of course, your community as a whole. It is budget time, so this is the kind of information that we like to spread out to everyone. So, and I'm here to give you the big award, which I'm very proud to do. And so this award is very special. In order to receive the Bonnie Carney Award for Excellence in Educational Communications, all the entries must meet all of the following criteria, which you have. First is the general criteria, which includes clarity of message, image, consistency. Second is the specific guidelines of readability, editing, graphics, type, format, presentation, design, and value of expenditure. And a little bit of background with this, all of the submissions for the districts around the state that are members of CABE have the opportunity to submit many entries in many different categories, criterias, what have you. And at the CABE CAPS convention, which I think some of you have come to the convention, and I hope that I know you're always there, and I hope to see many of Newington Board of Ed members there also. It is in November. It is at the Mystic Marriott. And what we do is we have a very large area where we display all of the awards, all of the submissions from the different districts around the state regarding different things. So, and you have received before. Yes, you have received before. So it's great. So I hope you continue to submit. So I'm really happy to present the Newington Public Schools with the Award for Excellence for Educational Communication and this is actually a really pretty award, and this is for the MKMS Weekly Newsletter, and more importantly, Marty's Minutes. So, and I have to tell you that I got online, and actually there's some backup here. So here you, oh geez, stuck this over here by accident, but I'll give it.
Right, the little display.
This is your award of excellence. By accident, I stuck it on here on the backup information. But so when I received this, a newsletter, and I said, okay, what's the newsletter about? And I said, let me take a look at what's going on here. And before I do my homework, before I present awards to districts around the state, I love to get and peruse on their websites. And I really go deep dive, considering that I'm always, I hate to say comparing with Simsbury Public School website, but we compare and we learn and what have you. So, and all of them are very different, and all of them are fantastic. And it's just a great opportunity to be able to do that. So I started looking at Marty's Minute, and this is April 8th, 2022. So I started with that one, and then I went on to another one, and then I went to another one, and then I'm going on to another one because now I'm really into this. And so I have to tell you that this was really, I see why Marty's Minute is very, very popular in this community. The students, the teachers that are reflected in your Marty's Minutes, the moments of calm. I like that. That I had to tell my superintendent, Matt Curtis, about that. We're stealing something from Newington Public Schools. The student announcers. It's all about the students, and I think this is just great having student announcers, that are working with you. I saw Mr. Marty on a golf cart, Mr. Marty in a hat, Mr. Marty in many different things. And the best part was what's for lunch. So when I started looking at those, I'm like, wow, everything is inclusive right here in Marty's Minute. So great job. This is why your district has received this award over here. So, CABE has been honoring the school districts with the awards of excellence since 1975. And the award was named in honor of our longtime CABE staff member, Bonnie Carney, which you may have remembered working with her at one point. So with this award, CABE's goal is to identify and honor the hardworking people in the school districts for the continuing effort to communicate effectively. And honestly, you should be congratulated and be very proud. Give yourselves a pat on the back, Board of Education, superintendent, and administrators, for all the good things that are going on in your district. And I, for one, am proud and honored to deliver this award to you. So with that, congratulations, Mr. Marty.
I should have brought Marty.
I know, Marty.
Deliver the award.
All right, so the next thing, we have a resolution honoring the Newington teachers. May 2nd, 2023. So whereas Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023 has been proclaimed as Newington Teacher Appreciation Day, and whereas the Newington Public School System is committed to honoring its teachers and recognizing their contributions to the educational system, and whereas the Newington Public School teachers are well qualified, very dedicated, and are responsible for the shaping of minds of future citizens, and whereas the Newington Public School teachers provide instructional opportunities that help prepare the students for the demands of the changing workplace environment, and whereas the Newington Public School teachers help students understand the democratic principles that built this nation and how those foundations of freedom are serving as hope for people around the world, and whereas the commitment of the Newington Public School teachers to providing the best education possible for their students is exemplary, and it is the desire of the Board of Education that teachers should be made aware of their appreciation. Therefore, we do hereby proclaim Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023, as Newington Teacher Appreciation Day. Be it resolved that we urge all of the citizens of our community to join with us in actively expressing gratitude to Newington teachers who represent an investment in excellence in our community. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Newington Board of Education is directed to spread this resolution upon the minutes of this meeting and to provide a suitable copy to the President of the Newington Teachers Association. Do we have anyone here to receive?
Well, we have several Ruth Chafee teachers here.
All right.
Can our Ruth Chafee folks come up? Thank you.
Ruth Chafee team, when you want, would
Yeah, we
you come up?
want you to at least be our teacher recipients this evening. Could you take a picture? Do you guys know Dr. Fletcher? Thank you for being our representative teachers tonight. Surprise.
Very good.
They're here to do a presentation, but
No.
what the heck? They should get the prize too.
Hand this off. You guys can share that, maybe put it in the middle and you all can do that and we'll get a picture.
There it is.
Very good.
Thank you for all you do.
Good to see you. That goes back with them, right?
It actually
Or
goes
does
to the
Okay.
president of the union, I believe, is
All
our
right.
official recipient. Kalimaki is online. Are we going to do comments at the very end of all the
Yeah,
proclamations?
we'll
Okay.
do that.
Thank
Yeah, we will do that. All right, and the next resolution honors our Newington para educators. Whereas Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023 has been proclaimed as Newington Para Educator Appreciation Day, and whereas the Newington Public School System is committed to honoring its para educators and recognizing their contributions to the educational system, and whereas the Newington Public School para educators are well qualified, very dedicated, and maintain a close working relationship with students, school, staff, and parents, and whereas the Newington Public School para educators provide assistance, direction, and guidance to students under the direction of special education and regular education teachers, and whereas the Newington Public School para educators reinforce skills, assist students in completing work, using technology, organizing, and assisting with physical needs and personal care, and whereas the Newington Public School para-educators contribute to the success of the entire school system and are always willing to go above and beyond their duties. Therefore, we do hereby proclaim Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023 as Newington Para-Educator Appreciation Day. Be it resolved that we urge all of the citizens of our community to join with us in actively expressing gratitude to Newington para-educators who represent an investment in excellence in our community. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Newington Board of Education is directed to spread this resolution upon the minutes of this meeting and to provide a suitable copy for presentation. All right.
And a round of applause for our paraprofessional.
Yeah, there you go. Is there anyone here to receive this?
No one is here to receive it, but there may be some folks online. So
Okay.
when we get to commentary, that may
All right.
very well be what's
Very
happening.
good.
So I'll take that off your
That
hands.
one, we have one more.
One more.
Next is our School Administrators Appreciation Day. So thank you for the positive impact on students, staff, and families, and for your leadership and dedication to providing the best education and productive learning environments for our children. As signed by the Superintendent of Schools and the members of the Board of Education.
We've got things in here tonight.
All right. Why don't you come on up and receive this? And Bev, come on.
Thank you. Absolutely. And there's many administrators online as well, but
All right.
since we have two in our midst.
I'll let you guys
We'll
hold
give a
that
little-
between
thank
the
you.
two of you. Thank you.
We'll have to figure out where that goes since we have 7 schools and.
Okay.
Okay,
There you
maybe,
go.
maybe we'll go that route.
Rotate.
The roving award certificate.
All right. So at this time, I'm going to open it up for any board comments, and what I like to do is go around the table. So I'll start with you.
I don't usually get to start first. I usually get to steal what other people have to say. So to everyone, teachers, paraeducators, administrators, it always amazes me that we separate those as 3 different organizations because all together is what actually educates a child. So thank you for all you do. I know right now the climate of education is challenging to say the least. To all 3 groups that are getting honored, awesome. Thank you for everything you do for our students. I know that waking up with a smile every day and doing what's best for the kids is what you guys all do. So thank you.
Mr. Lambert, excellent newsletter. I receive it every week. I love it. It's very informative. So congrats on the CAVE Award. Very well deserved. And to all of the people that are being honored today for educating our students, thank you. Obviously can't do it without you. So I'm glad that everyone is getting recognized because everyone in that building does important work. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks to,
Turn your mic on.
yeah, thank you to all our educators, paras, administrators. I mean, it is a holistic totality of the schools to educate a child, is sort of what Danielle said, and everybody has their own role and does, a remarkable job educating our kids. I want to say thanks.
I love this. This is like the ultimate love fest. We have not only some awesome communications awards, which is great because anytime I get to give praise to Mr. Lambert, I will. Here or just wherever. I think it's just great because it shows just kind of like every aspect of our school system, not even just the curriculum that's in the classroom, but what's done outside the classroom, what's done within our school walls, outside of just the actual testing and the actual curriculum. It's just great to see that, even down to newsletters, we are giving excellence to the Newington students. So thank you so much for all that you do day in and day out. To our teachers, the absolute core of our school, the heart of every single day. Thank you so much. I believe, is this the first year or second year we're doing Paraeducators Day? Second year, I think we're doing it, because I know we as a board really wanted to make sure that's acknowledged, and obviously having Dr. Fletcher as one of our paraeducators in the Newington system, I think I just want to echo kind of what we've said in the past to how important you are, and thank you so much for all that you do, and to our administrators that really make the wheels function. Thank you for not only supporting our staff, but making sure that the cogs in the machine run. Wendy will, that's a nod to our curriculum meeting earlier, but truly making sure that all of that goes, it doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you all so much. And we appreciate everything that you do. And congratulations to our award winners.
I guess I'll kind of, echo off what everyone else said. Congratulations on the CAVE Communications Award. I think that's amazing. So I want to recognize you and say that. I think it's amazing that we're honoring our teachers, educators, and administrators on the same day because, as Danielle said, it takes all of you to make everything kind of work. And I visited all your schools, so I will tell you that. And, this is the second year we're recognizing paraeducators, and I love that we've grouped it together. So thank you all for everything you do. It's not unrecognized.
That was loud. Yeah, I just want to echo what everybody else said. Obviously, just thanking everybody who makes this district what it is, the great district that it is, from our administrators, our teachers, and our paras who we're specifically talking about today. I do want to say, and I know Ms. Yap and I often talk about this at meetings, but and I don't mean to put a damper on this, but we have to find a way to be more competitive with our paras, because even in this agenda, in the superintendent's report, it's detailed how much of a struggle it is, and I don't want to lose sight of the fact that obviously we appreciate them, but there's more great people out there that could come and help our students and our teachers, but we just don't have the system right now that can make that happen. So it's an aim for the moon type situation. I understand there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things that have to be figured out, but I really hope that this town can find a way to better support our paras, because supporting them just has such an impact on everybody in the building. But just back to the positive side, I consider myself very lucky that my children are in Newington Public Schools. Every teacher that they've ever had, every administrator that they've ever had has gone above and beyond, not only for them, but their classmates. And I'm so appreciative. And sometimes I really don't think that this town really knows how lucky they are. So thank you.
I'm going to say that the teachers, the paras that we do have, and the administrators in this district are cut above normal. They really are excellent. Having worked in this district a little over 7 years, worked with some of you guys, I'm impressed. I've been an administrator, I've been a teacher, I've been a para, and I can tell you there's a lot of stress associated with it that average people don't understand. And it's a good thing that we take a little bit of time and acknowledge that. We recognize it here. I mean, there are a lot of things that we could be doing, and I stand in favor of doing everything we can to increase what we do for our paras. I know what it's like to be enticed by other districts to go that have benefits and higher wages. I stayed here because I love Newington so much. I was given many other offers. So I appreciate the paras. I appreciate you guys hanging in. If you're on there listening to us, hang in there. We're working on it. We're going to get there. And I want to thank you for the dedication that you have, teachers, administrators, and paras. Thank you for that dedication. I appreciate it very much. So let's give them a round of applause again.
I certainly want to jump in on this. As I believe Ms. Droz said, there's never been a more challenging time to be an educator. Post-COVID, we all know, well, if you're not an educator, maybe you don't know, it's tough. It's tough out there. And our teachers are working tirelessly. Our paras and tutors are working tirelessly. Our administrative team is working tirelessly. They're a new addition to this honor system this year. We were approached by an administrator about, how come we're not getting an acknowledgement for? So I said, you know what, you're right. Because we value the entire system. I think many board members said it beautifully, that it is a system with cogs, and all the cogs have to work in concert for all of the work to get done in our district. So I'm extremely grateful for the work of each and every one of those departments, and I appreciate what you do, and thank you. And I'm so glad folks were here tonight to hear it firsthand. Dr. Fletcher.
Very good. So we're going to move on now, and we're going to go to agenda item C, which is our public participation on any matter related to board responsibilities. Oh, she is. Okay. Well, let's have some, if there are teachers, let's have them, give them an opportunity to speak.
Dr.
So if
Brubman.
anyone, go ahead, Marlena.
So it's Marilyn. I just wanted to jump in. I'm sorry, Holly. But I was quicker on the draw. I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for their acknowledgements tonight, especially I'm representing the paraprofessionals. And I thank you, Dr. Fletcher. You know firsthand what it's like out there. And I definitely appreciate the fact that you are so supportive and the entire board. We have numerous stories of paraprofessionals who have left because they maybe were enticed, but a couple of them have come back. We also have had paraprofessionals who have retired, and they said, I miss the kids. I miss the families. I miss the staff. And they're back. So we are so happy and so proud of our paraprofessionals, our paraeducators. And it is just an amazing opportunity for me to work with them. And I don't get to see them all that often, but I do especially get to see them during our extended school program. So anybody who's out there and listening, we are hiring for ESY, and we absolutely look forward to seeing everybody again and again. Thank you for this opportunity tonight.
Thank you. Go ahead, Holly.
So my name is Holly Motke, president of the Newington Teachers Association, and on behalf of my teachers, I just want to thank the board for their support of us in the classroom so we can do our best job with students. I would be remiss if I did not also though mention that it is a teachers association, but we represent school counselors and social workers and speech and language pathologists. And so I did want to acknowledge those people that don't have a classroom, but certainly do the supportive work that helps make the whole school community work for the students. And I've probably missed someone, and they're going to tell me about it tomorrow. But I just can't state how great it is to have the support of the board and to be able to work together with such a fine group of paraeducators and administrators so that we can do our best work. Thank you.
Dan and Kevin.
Dan and who?
Dan Diaz and Kevin Duran are on.
Okay, so Dan Diaz, if you're on, would you like to say something?
Hello, everyone. Sure. Just want to thank Cabe for the honorable mention on the Summer Newsletter Award. So thank you and congrats to Martin Kellogg as well. And also for our para-educators who are so integral to everything we do every day for all our kids. They really are oftentimes the unsung heroes, behind the scenes doing a lot of the work with our students on a day-to-day basis. So we appreciate all of you. Our staff, I can't say enough about the staff at John Wallace and across the district, who day in and day out are there for every kid every day, and doing all that they can to ensure that all students, are successful. And to my fellow administrators in the district as well, just appreciate all of you as well. I think many had said it. It's not the easiest climate to work in right now, but having strong teachers, strong paraeducators, strong administrative staff here in Newington certainly makes the job very rewarding. So thank you all.
Well, thank you. And Kevin, would you like to say anything?
Yes. Yes, I would. I'd like to thank everybody also, the paraeducators and the teachers for everything that they do. We couldn't make it through the day without their help. I mean, what they do for the kids to help them be successful and deal with all any issues they bring into the building is quite remarkable. And to my fellow administrators, I want to thank you for all the work that you do. There's many things that take place during the day that most of the public does not know about. And without everybody's hard work, our kids wouldn't be as successful as they are. And I want to thank the board for everything you guys do. I mean, you put in countless hours and you help us in ways that we just couldn't thank you enough about. So thank you. And that's it. Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you very much. There's no one else, right? Okay, so now we will move on to item C, which is our public participation. So on any matter related to board responsibilities, you can speak if you're here in person. You can call in. The phone number is 860-665-8659. If you are online and would like to participate, there's a little thing on the bottom. You can raise your hand and I will call on you at an appropriate time. We do limit our civil participation to 3 minutes. All we ask you to do is state your name and the street you live on. You do not need to disclose the street number for your own safety. So if there's anyone here in the room from the public that wishes to speak, the end of the table is open. Anyone online? I'll wait a moment because usually by the time I go to move on, somebody raises their hand. All right, well, we are going to move on. We're going to go to agenda item D, which is our consent agenda. This will be the approval of the minutes from March 29th, 2023, which is a regular meeting, April 5th, 2023, which was a special meeting, and April 5th, 2023, the regular meeting. Does anyone have any questions about the minutes, or did you notice any discrepancies?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, motion's made and seconded. Any more discussion? All right,
Yes, are we doing them as all as one vote, or are we doing them separately?
we're doing them all as one.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Michael Branda,
Yes.
Danielle Droz,
Yes.
Yes.
Richard Laveriere,
I'll have to abstain because I was not at one of the meetings.
Beth Mankey, Het Wagner.
She's online, so she can't talk.
Oh, she just rejoined.
Okay.
Maybe you can say her name again.
Beth
Yes.
Mankey,
Yes.
Amy Parati,
Yes.
Jessica Weaver,
Yes.
Anastasia Yass.
Yes.
The motion passes.
All right, very good. So we are going to move on now to the superintendent of schools report. Dr. Brummett.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to ask Bev Lawrence to come up with her team. I will let her introduce the team. I imagine they're all going to have different speaking parts. She's going to go through some of her work at Chafee that has equity implications as well as implications for how our children enjoy their educational environment. So I'm going to boot up your presentation, Bev. Maybe you can introduce your colleagues. Oh, I have to hold it. Oh, thank you.
So good evening, everyone. I'm Bev Lawrence, the principal at Ruth Chafee, and I have with me, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mary Riccio. I'm one of the kindergarten teachers at Chafee.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Wild, and I am the multilingual teacher at Ruth Chafee.
And we also have with us for moral support, Mrs. Sarah Grimm, a second grade teacher at Ruth Chafee. So as you can see, we are elementary teachers, and so we don't sit down. So we're going to probably pass the mic like this, as you see. So we hope that you can bear with us and that you can hear us okay as well. And so we have decided to share some information with you about how we recognize all of our students positively at Ruth Chafee. And so if you are familiar with, and we meant to bring a book, or maybe we do have it, we're going to pass them around so you can understand, or you can look at them, where we get our idea from. So if you give a Chafee student a SOAR card, what will happen? Am I close enough? I may not be close enough. Yes, you can advance. Yep. Thank you. So as you can see here, this is our SOAR card. Students are extremely excited to get one of these. If I enter a classroom or I catch them in the hallway, it's like, Miss Lawrence, I got a SOAR card. They're so excited. I am just as excited for them because then we all know what that means after they get recognized at our student celebration assembly, and they also get a prize from our lovely SOAR card prize box. So there's many opportunities for our students to be positively recognized. One of them is our SOAR card. The other one is by being recognized as a student of the month. Another one is our star student. And then we also tie this into our school families, which both of our ladies here who are with us today are going to share more information about that. But we'll tell you how this connects to our equity work. You can advance. So first we'll start with the why. To ensure that all students are positively recognized, our data for the past 2 years indicated that 30% of our students of color were recognized as students of the month and 70% of our white students were recognized. In addition, less than 10% of our students with exceptionalities were recognized. And so this was very important to us to make sure that all students are recognized. We know that sometimes there's criteria and maybe not every student will be recognized as student of the month, but they should be recognized for doing something positive in our school community. And so you notice that little quote there that I found that says, be the teacher that notices the kids that don't get noticed. So that is important to us. You can advance. This is also the why, but I won't read to readers. I'll let you read that slide. So part of our reading through different book clubs within our building, this comes from Zaretta Hammond's The Culturally Responsive Teaching and the Brain. And so we talk about how important it is to make these connections to our students and how we not only make them feel a bond with the teachers and the adults in the building, but they also feel safe and they trust us. And so it's important that they know that we care about them and we see the good that they are doing more than anything else. And so now you can advance. I will turn it over to Ms. Shirikia.
Thank you. So we started off this year with going over rules that looked a little different than it's looked in past years. And we decided that our one rule of the building would be if what you are doing interferes with learning, if it hurts someone's heart, or it prevents you from being your best self, then maybe you should be thinking about a different choice. In years past, classroom rules, the first 10 days of school, we're talking about maybe things you should be doing, expected choices, unexpected choices. This year, we kind of changed that and we were making classroom contracts. So it was a team effort in each of the classrooms. It wasn't as the teacher, this is what I'm expecting. It was as a classroom community, how do you want to feel? And how do you expect that to happen? How do you expect others to treat you? So it's not the teacher holding everybody accountable, it's the whole classroom community and then the whole school community holding each other accountable. So the books are being passed around. What happens if you positively recognize a Chafee student? Well, they will interact safely in the classroom. They will feel like a part of their classroom and school community, and they will create more meaningful relationships with staff and students. So this year we were really excited to redesign our student celebration assemblies. Prior to the COVID years, as I guess we'll be calling them, we had school assemblies every month to positively recognize classes of students, individual students, and we really wanted to bring that back this year. So for our monthly student assemblies, we are able to come together as a whole school community. We also, as Mrs. Lawrence mentioned, we want to make sure that more students are recognized. And what's so sweet, and you'll see some of this in some of the later video clips, is the students are so excited to cheer for their friends who are getting an award, and it really builds that community of learners. This also increases more positive student to teacher and teacher to student relationships. And our mantra that we chant every day, every student, every day, whatever it takes. What was really cool about creating or recreating these student assemblies this year is they've evolved. Every month we've added or we've tweaked or we've created a new connection to other learning. And so throughout some of our celebrations, we have integrated some silent celebrations. Sometimes the students are so excited they still want to clap and cheer, which is great, but we also have other options. So some of our fun different celebrations we've done were some spirit fingers, some snaps, some dabs, which I think is a school favorite, and raising the roof. Some of our others, I think we had a lasso, and we had some finger claps. But it's a really great, really great community building experience. On the next slide, you're going to see an acknowledgement of some SOAR cards. Oh, is there one? Yes. There we go. Perfect. So this is going to be a video. We can play part of it, recognizing some of our students of the month, and you can see the student excitement.
And I was going to say, we just would like to thank Jacob for
Yes.
coming out and videotaping this for us and catching the moment for all of you to see as well. Thank you.
Getting the footage.
All right, I'm glad he's here in case it doesn't work.
We are too.
I'm wondering about audio. Which.
Now we do-
There we go.
So that's just a small snippet of the excitement that you might feel if you were at one of those student celebration assemblies. As Mrs. Lawrence mentioned before, there are SOAR card winners that are acknowledged. You saw that at the beginning of the video. And our goal by the end of the year is that all students will be standing at that last assembly, and every single one of them will have been recognized for some positive behavior that filled a bucket of somebody else within our school. What else we added, as she mentioned, was our STAR students. And that's for maybe students who you've seen growth in, or you wish you could recognize more than one student of the month, but it's just one student of the month. But those students have also shown improvement or have been a positive member of the community. And what I love, and Mrs. Wild is actually going to talk more about this now, is how the STAR Students Award has actually evolved over the course of just this year.
Yes, so you can advance to the next slide. We decided to connect our positive behavior STAR student with our school families. And so first of all, if you advance the next slide, just quickly, I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with school families. So school families
are something that we have put in place at the elementary schools where students travel to different classrooms or different locations in the school, and they meet with a school family leader who is someone other than their classroom teacher. They go to a different location, and this becomes their school family meeting place. At their school family, it consists of old friends, new friends, kids from other grade levels, and it's just a mix of kids in all grades, K to 4. And the first thing that we do, especially for the first couple lessons, is we really take a lot of time to get to know each other and learn each other's names and just little things about each other. And then also the beginning of each lesson, we come back to that again and we just talk about each other's names and just get to know each other really quickly for the first couple of minutes of every lesson and throughout the whole year. What's really fun in the beginning is everybody creates a little secret handshake or a signal that is kind of special to their own unique school family. And you create that with your school family leader. And when you see your school family leader or anybody from your school family, when you're walking through the hallways or things like that, you can give them your little signal. My school families, we came up with the connection signal, but we also wanted it to be a wave. So we go like this when we see each other in the hallway. And what's really neat is that they not only do that signal to me, they do it to each other. So when they see, a kindergartner will see a second grader in the hallway that's in their school family, and you'll see them going like this or whatever their signal is as they walk through the hallway. It forms a lot of really great connections outside of their classrooms and in different grade levels as well. So we explain that we will be growing and learning together to make Ruth Chafee an even better place. And then if you advance, the purpose of the school families is to just empower students to take responsibility for their actions. And we also want to remind them that we're here to help make our school environment safe, respectful, responsible. And we do that together, staff and students working together, and to promote and encourage positive behavior and ensuring that everyone feels safe in our school and that everyone has a role to play in decreasing unsafe behaviors as well. And so the school family committee, which is made up of a teacher from each grade level, as well as a social worker, special education teacher, and special areas teachers as well. And when we come together to decide what the focus is going to be for the school family lessons, we take these goals into consideration about making sure that we're providing an optimal climate for social and emotional and academic growth, implementing opportunities for students to recognize for the following our cardinal rules: being safe, respectful, and responsible, and much more. We promote a school-wide understanding of our acronym SOAR, which you saw on our SOAR cards. We facilitate an ongoing achievement of our Ruth Chafee mission and expectation statement, which is that we nurture students to become enthusiastic about learning and developing the skills, attitude, behaviors necessary to become productive citizens in our ever-changing society. And so, like Ms. Uricchio said, we've decided to kind of combine our STAR student with our school families. So our lessons, these are just a couple of our lessons that we've done this year, have a direct connection to the STAR Student Awards. And it's really great because someone other than the students' classroom teachers are helping to promote that positive behavior. This is what your teachers are looking for. So for example, we had a lesson about using our strengths. And in that lesson, which is the next slide, I believe, we talked about using our strengths to make the world an even better place. We talked about how can we use our strengths at Ruth Chafee School, and also then bringing it outside of our school, how can we use our strengths to make our world an even better place too. And in that lesson, it was really great because we talked about how everybody has different strengths. And some students are art strong, and some students are music strong, and some students are word strong, and some students are body strong. And together, we make a whole great team that brings everything together at our school and then making our world a better place as well. And with that, the students all took their strengths. If you go to the next slide.
And we talked about how we can grow our strengths. And then they each recognized their strengths within themselves and designed a feather with either pictures or words of all of the strengths that each student felt that they had. And then we took those feathers and we put them all together to make a bulletin board, which is our next slide. That is, Chiefy students don't just fly, they soar. And those are all of the feathers that the students made that created those beautiful wings. And they get to stand in front of those wings whenever they get a soar card and get their picture taken. That gets sent home and on our website, and it's been really great. And then we always close out each lesson with keep soaring, Chiefy students, led in a positive note. They all run out of the rooms very excited to get back to their classrooms and show their teachers, their positive behavior that they learned. And we always also end our assemblies. If you've ever been to a Ruth Chafee assembly, we are a singing school, and we like to sing our song about our cardinal rules. And if you haven't been to a Ruth Chafee assembly, please come. We have one next Friday, April 28th at 2:15. It is one of our student celebration assemblies. So you'll see some of the things that you saw today. We would love to have you there to experience this and to sing our song. And if you click the song or the play, sorry.
That song is going to be. You gotta say it. That song will be stuck in your head for the rest of the night, but it is extraordinarily catchy, especially in person. It was written by one of our music teachers, Mark Walling, who is a very talented music teacher. Not here this evening, but very talented. So, oops, I just turned everything off. I will turn it back to you. That was your last slide, correct?
Yes.
I'll turn it back to Dr. Fletcher for any questions or comments from the board.
Right, we can go around the board, start with you.
Sure. First, I really like that initial slide where you showed the data behind all the students that are getting the recognition, because it shows that you're not just guessing, you're looking at the data and you're looking at how to improve based on what's actually happening, not what you think's happening. For a few years, I've had people go to Chafee, and like friends that their kids go to Chafee, and they always talk so highly of Chafee. And I always was like, what is it about Chafee? And I think it's you, Bev. And I got to be honest, every time that your team comes here and presents, they are so enthusiastic, as you both were. And I think it's because you're giving your team opportunities to lead and to improve themselves while improving your school community. And it's just so awesome to see. And that's not to say that our our other schools aren't doing a great job, but there's just something about your school that it gets talked about a lot in this community, and you should really be proud because we're very lucky to have you leading our schools. Thank you.
Can I just say something?
Of course.
I have to say this, as you know, I had this sort of issue earlier where I was like, if I don't say it, I'm going to burst. But I do just have to say, I appreciate you saying that, but I am who I am because of my staff. They are the best people to work with. There isn't anything that I think that I'm going to do alone. I rely on them. I rely on their expertise. I trust them. I believe that they trust me, and I also love them. And that is just so important to the relationship that we have throughout our building. But I definitely appreciate you saying that, but I definitely don't do this alone.
And we love
So I'm going to say I had the pleasure of touring with Chafee and I loved it. I had a great tour with Dr. Bremen and Beverly, and you do feel the love. I think I toured in the summer and I still felt the love. I walked in. I'm going to tell you, those feathers are amazing. I want to stand in the middle of that and take a picture. Just want to tell you that. One of the things that stuck out to me was the quote that you chose, and that was, be the teacher that notices the kids that don't get noticed. And I think that's huge. There are a lot of kids, all different areas, special needs, some kids who are really shy. Like I have a brother who's very shy, we're opposites, just so you know. He's extremely shy, extremely introverted. And when he was growing up, he's 30, okay? He says, I never really got noticed. He's always the quiet one. So seeing that you recognize and you're looking for that and everybody's kind of, paying attention, I think that's huge. Because you have the kids who are like loud and vibrant, who are like the stellar students. Okay? And then you have the kids who are just, not as vocal and not as, they don't join everything. I joined everything, just so you know. But I just really love that quote, and that really stuck out to me. And I can't wait to, I got an invitation today to come to an event that I'll be at. I'll respond. I'm responding now. I will be there. So I just wanted to let you know, thank you for everything you do. I appreciate all you do. I love all of our schools. The energy in your school when I walk in, it's amazing. So thank you.
This is really love fest now. But I think it's really helpful to showcase the kind of culture, not just the academic side, right? We talk a lot about social emotional learning, what that means and what that means for, I know Ms. Tigno always talks about her family of learners, but I think it really applies to every one of our schools and truly the community at large. This is a true family, and making that community. I was such a fan of school families when I was there, and it really helps when you're, in kindergarten, then you see a fourth grader and it's a role model aspect. And to have that interaction, I love the aspect of adding the handshakes and doing that and making even more connections outside of the classroom to really make it feel like a community and a family. It just really shows the progress that's being made. And to Mike Branda's point, to be able to point out and look at, where are we falling short? Where are we doing that? Always looking for improvement. And I know your presentations before have been incredible. I think we talked about the, not obstacle courses, but the little, yes, exactly. Was just incredible. So I think, especially the work that you do in the classroom is incredible, but the work you're doing outside of the classroom to make your school fully whole for every student is just great. And I just absolutely applaud the work that you're doing. And we're grateful to see that, there's really good things for our students and that they're really into it as well. It looks like a really fun time to be doing a lasso. I wish, so thank you for bringing that in and that aspect into all aspects of our school. So thank you.
All right, thanks. I want to give you a little silent share. Yeah, I was interested by the strong slide. It's refreshing because you are recognizing that the strengths that students have may not be what is traditionally considered important, or that's not the right word, but considered valued in the schools. I mean, there are students that have different abilities, and I'm glad that you are observing that, recognizing it, and following through on it. So thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. It's great to see you here in person. It's been said, but the school families, I think, is really great at that the elementary level. My daughter Diana Reynolds has the same thing, and it's really fun to see them be able to just, make friends with other people they wouldn't normally interact with. And so I think that's a really awesome thing that you're doing. And then tying the lessons in school families with, what they're learning in their classroom. I love the feathers bulletin board. My daughter has Girl Scouts at your school in the art room. She was there tonight, actually. So thank you for opening it up to them. But also the bulletin board which says "Be the eye and kind." I love that too. I think that's just fantastic, and it's so pretty. And I made my daughter stand in front of it and take a picture because it's very cute. So, but thank you and great job tonight.
Because I love all the positive, and I know it's awesome that teachers are here this late at night because I know y'all want to be home. But there's just a couple things. So this was about equity work at Ruth Chafee, which is awesome. It's a very different presentation than we've heard from other schools, which is totally fine. I'd be curious. I love the fact that you noticed like who wasn't getting awards, but how this is translating over time into their academic success, because really what we're here to do is to educate our kids. So I would be curious about that. The other thing, just a couple things, because I would be remiss if I didn't say it, middle school teachers don't sit down either. So I was a little taken aback by that statement. So I just want you to know, like you set me up. So, and I thought about it through the whole thing, right? So when we talk about equity, you don't want to exclude anyone. You excluded me from your first statement, and I'm shaking. I was so annoyed by that statement. So I want to just bring that up. I want to make sure also I've heard from some people, like I want to make sure that your substitutes or your guest teachers know about these programs because I think it would help them. And I know it's hard to get guest teachers in school. And I know that we're reaching out to younger and younger people to do that. So knowing that this, which are all great programs, are beneficial to them and understanding that first slide that you sent, oh my God, it was great. It was phenomenal. Like, what are you doing to make whatever, you're not interrupting the learning. It would be awesome if that was in every subfolder so the subs knew the terminology, just so that learning continues when a teacher is out. And then my own little 2 cents is when you do your student of month, it's awesome. But as I watched, I was like, well, why are they getting it? What are they doing that's exceptional? And I think the other students would benefit from knowing, like, Anastasia got it today because she was really kind. And even when someone was like upset, she like got a teacher and she did the right thing. So having that and teaching the kids, like in my school, we talk about like, what is the vision of the graduate? That got them there. So it's just a little insight on my thoughts. Thank you for coming up because I know it stinks coming out on a.
Thank you.
So
Now, I remember the SOAR program.
Go ahead.
Go
I was just
ahead.
going to ask if I could speak to that.
Yeah.
So first, I want to apologize. I too am a middle school teacher. So notice that when I said that, I didn't call out any other teachers. I just mentioned as elementary school teachers, we stand, but I was also a middle school teacher. So no offense at all needed there, or that I tried to, I did not try to offend you. So I apologize. But first, I also want to say that one of the things that you heard Ms. Riccio mention, how we have changed how we do this over time. One of the things that we did change was we did have why a student received the student of the month. We kind of removed that because we realized we were now in this space together for an hour. And so when I think about academic instructional time, as you spoke to before, we did not want to continue to extend it that long. And so students do know in their classroom is that shared by the classroom teachers. And so we don't do it again in our presentation. And also too, I wanted to speak to that first slide and you mentioned about the subs. So one of the things that's very important that you see with this number one rule is that most teachers have this posted. So not only is it possibly in some of their sub plans, but it's also posted, as you heard Ms. Riccio say, every classroom did a charter. So they may have this and they may have something additional to this within their plans that speaks to what is important to them as their community, which she spoke to at the beginning as well.
So what was the first year of the SOAR program? Was it 2015?
2014, my first year.
14. Okay, because I remember it when I was there, 2015, 2016. And it was a great program then, and I'm glad to see that it's still going. The other thing I noticed, the books that are floating and heading their way back to you, they belong to Patty McAndrew. You got her classroom, don't you? A wonderful thing. Patty is retired. All right. Thank you so very much for that presentation and a great update. Keep up the good work. All right, we're now going on to new business. This is agenda item will be under F. Okay, so the first item that we have under new business is going to be the action on the resolutions honoring the 2023 valedictorian and salutatorian. So Dr. Brummett, you want to introduce it?
So each year, we honor our selected valedictorian and salutatorian. They will have a presentation of this award at the May 24th Scholar Breakfast, which all board members will be invited to if they can make it. So it's real exciting that someone you might recognize as a Board of Ed representative is our salutatorian this year, Tricia Iyer. So we bring greatness here from the Board of Education. So no, this is an exciting time, and if you're able to attend the Scholar Breakfast, you're going to see all of the awards that these individuals get along with many of their colleagues, but this is obviously a very high honor. So without further ado, I'll turn it back to you for the motion, Dr. Fletcher.
Move the Board of Education proclaims Shreya Joseph as valedictorian for the Newington High School graduating class of 2023, and Tricia Iyer as a salutatorian for the Newington High School graduating class of 2023.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, if the clerk could please call a roll.
Michael Miranda,
Yes.
Danielle Rose,
Yes.
Dr. Bruce Fletcher,
Yes.
Beth Mankey Wagner.
Yes.
Amy Parati.
Yes. Yes.
Jessica Weaver.
Yes.
Anastasia.
Yes.
Have a motion passes 7-0.
All right, excellent. The next item on the agenda is to review the board meeting schedule for the rest of the year. And if you deal with that.
Thank you, Dr. Fletcher. I wanted to pose to the board that we make some changes for some upcoming board meetings. Specifically, we do need another meeting sooner than later to discuss the John Wallace project, budget reconciliation, and possible changes to the 2023-24 school calendar. And those are a bit more timely because then they would also have implications for our work with the town on some of these issues. So I'm proposing April 27th, which is a week from today. If that is unworkable, May 3rd is another opportunity.
27th is a Thursday.
Well, there you go. We should have checked that. But yes, I do mean April 26th. My apologies. Thank you for having your calendars out. The other request I would like to make is on May 10th. If possible, I'd like to cancel that meeting because I have an obligation to attend an out-of-district or an out-of-state conference, which I don't have to leave that night if this doesn't work out, but I'm recommending we reschedule it to May 17th. That will also be the evening that we would honor the retirees. And this year, there's very few retirees, so we're going to have a much more limited celebration here at the board room with proper honors and at 6 p.m. on hopefully May 17th. So those would be my recommendations and the reasons why. I'll turn it back over to you for any discussion.
Right. Go ahead.
I am totally fine with the first one. I'm fine with the second one too, but I'm looking at my calendar and I can't come to that second one, but it's fine. I can't make it on May 17th, but it's totally fine. It's one person, so.
Okay. I have a question. So we're changing it to April 26th? Because it was the 27th, I can't come on a Thursday.
Correct. That's my error on the memo. My apologies.
So are we all able to come on either April 26th?
Which is next Wednesday.
It's a week from today,
Okay,
so we would post it very shortly.
I can come. And then for May 17th, what are we doing for the retirees? Is it?
We're going to have a meeting here at 6 o'clock. We will have refreshments. We'll invite all the retirees and their principals so that they can say positive things about them, and then they'll be presented with gifts. This year, last I heard, we only have 2 retirees, so it's a much smaller group this year, which is why we were dialing it back to see how it goes. This will be, I believe, we'll have a very nice event. They can bring their families to hear all the wonderful things about them, and then photos and all of that the hour before our board meeting starts. We just needed to set the date with board approval so that we can now notify the retirees.
Just a question, because it's not the correct date. So if we move the board, should we just maybe specify and like move it, the board, like in the motion, say, move it for April 26th?
Yes.
Instead of as outlined in the memo, because it's incorrect.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like me to make that motion?
You can make that motion.
Okay, I couldn't tell I was hinting at that. Okay. Move the Board of Education, modify the upcoming meeting schedule to include a special meeting for April 26th to discuss the John Wallace project, budget reconciliation, and possible changes to 2023-2024 school calendar, and cancel the May 10th, 2023 board meeting to reschedule to May 17th, 2023.
Second.
All right, the motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, if you would please call the roll.
Michael Branda.
Yes.
Annie Strauss,
Yes.
Dr. Bruce Fletcher.
Yes.
Excuse me, Beth Mackey Wagner.
Yes.
Richard Laveriere.
Yes.
Amy Parati.
Yes.
Jessica Weaver.
Yes.
Anastasia Yap.
Yes.
Motion is unanimous.
All right, very good. The next item is our discussion and possible action concerning the performance of a board member. Before we do this, he has requested that we do it in open session, which is fine, is what we're going to do. But I want to make a few things clear. This is going to remain civil. It's going to be a discussion. We need to clarify and come to an understanding of what our roles and responsibilities are as board members, what our limitations are as well, to understand those, so we understand our boundaries going forward. Trying to discuss this through emails and other ways is not effective. This needs to be done in a board setting. And again, I want to caution everybody that we're going to keep it civil and do not make it personal. If you have questions or comments that need to be made, keep it pertaining to the business of the board and not personal things. Okay? And what I've done is I've asked Attorney Mooney to please be here and help us to conduct this session, since he is our legal representation. And we do have a few things that we're going to cover. And you will have time to respond as well. Turn it over to you and Attorney Mooney.
So because this is in public session, we have to be very cautious by not mentioning any names. So that is important. Had this been an executive session, we could have been a bit more specific. So I won't be able to show these letters and documents except for Board Policy 1312 because they do reference names. But I would appreciate if Attorney Mooney would speak to Board Policy 1312 and your understanding of the issue that we had asked for your guidance on at this time, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, good evening. Your policy 1312 reflects the common understanding throughout the state, perhaps throughout the country, that a Board of Education is a group of people working together to support education in their community. And given that fact, it's expected and reflected in your policy that no one individual presumes to speak on behalf of the board except as that authority is delegated. And no one individual should be responding on factual matters without all the information. So I think that the concerns here are pretty straightforward. But I would like to just lay out these concerns in more of a neutral, presenting a question for the board for discussion. And to the extent that you have concern about an individual board member, you should express those concerns. And it would only be fair for the board member to hear those concerns before responding. And I think it's important that the board approach this from that perspective. That is, this is a discussion, as Dr. Fletcher has said, to try and develop a better understanding of the group's view on how board members should fulfill their public responsibilities. The specifics here are pretty straightforward. A board member, Mr. Laviere, responded to a parent concern immediately and validated that concern by a statement, "Stop, this bullying must stop now," without knowing the facts and without hearing from the superintendent. The concern was expressed, and there was no acknowledgement, no agreement. And that's why I'm so glad we're here tonight to talk this through. There was no agreement that that was in any way inappropriate. I've been working with boards of education throughout Connecticut for 45 years. I have a good understanding of how boards work together effectively. And sadly, every so often I see where they're not so effective. And it is inconsistent with my understanding of an effective board operation for an individual board member to jump out in front of issues as an individual and respond on the merits without even the courtesy of speaking to the superintendent or having this be raised as a board issue. In fact, after this concern was raised and conveyed to Mr. Laviere, he posted, "I understand there was a controversy regarding my communication to a concerned parent in town. I want all of Newington to know that as long as you vote me onto the Board of Education, I will ensure religious discrimination and bullying of any kind has no place in our schools." The concern that one might have about that is that it sounds like the individual is saying he's going to take care of it because the board is not doing its business. And so I just want to, it's hard not to at least lay the concern out in a judgmental way. And I apologize for that. You, as board members, should make those judgments. I'm just sharing with you, based on my experience, that this is unusual and typically viewed as counterproductive for an individual to present him or herself as an individual and in a way denigrating the work of the administration and of the board by negative implication. I will do this, suggest that someone else is not doing the job. And that would be the concern. And so I appreciate the opportunity to lay this out, but this is, I think, the board's first opportunity to discuss these concerns directly as a board and to hear whatever counter perspective there is as to whether or not these actions are consistent with effective board operation. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I look forward to hearing from the board as to what you think about this, and then, of course, Mr. Laviere as to what he thinks about this.
Michelle?
I have a question. So these letters that we're obviously not able to show, but obviously the public's watching. So it shows Parks and Recreation, the Police Department, Policy 1312, a parent follow-up and response letter to public comment. Are these, since the public is now knowledgeable that these 4 departments, are they going to be FOIAble? Or is the public going to be able to view these since this is a public meeting now?
To the extent that that information would relate to a specific student? The answer is no, because they're protected by FERPA. We're here in public session at the request of Mr. Laviere. And to the extent that that's now a bit of a dilemma in terms of what can and cannot be discussed, that's not the making of the board. The agenda proposed this for executive session. Mr. Laviere has every right in the world to require that this be held in open. But as a result, there's a bit of a disconnect between what the public hears and the underlying proof of some of these concerns.
So just to follow up with that, so FERPA violates if the name is mentioned. If it's FOIA'd with the name blacked out, does the public still have access to that letter?
Probably not. And the reason is that the way FERPA and for the general understanding of the public and of the board, FERPA is the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, and it provides that personally identifiable student information may not be released by an educational institution that receives federal funding. And so there's, in fact, under FERPA, something called a targeted request. And I'll just give you a simple example. 2 kids are fighting. And what do most parents want to know when their kid is disciplined? What happened to the other kid? That's a pretty common impulse. And so FERPA would say, when the parent says, oh, blank out the name, don't worry about it, that's not good enough, because the context makes clear that this information remains personally identifiable, even if the name is blanked out. So it would depend upon a review of those records, but whatever information would make the student and parent personally identifiable would be confidential by federal law under FERPA.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You don't, or go ahead.
So my concern, and it's, we had asked, I think at the beginning of, maybe it was 4 years ago, I don't remember, to have like a social media like policy. And I think social media in this town, and I don't know if it's in other towns, is ugly. And I think that the beginnings of the letter that Richard wrote, like, started a pretty big firestorm. And Michael, you know, we've been getting along well, like your response on Facebook, like you meet, like it just keeps stirring. So I mean, then people see the board fighting and we're not a unit, and that's not good for the kids. So that's just kind of my commentary, but that policy took a really long time and everyone had insight on it. And the idea behind that policy was, we don't have any power as a individual person to change things. We're a board, we work together. And so what upset me when I saw, and I didn't see the original response, and so the parent was like, I was never even on the email. I don't know if my name was spelled wrong or what, or my name was never given to the parent. Had it come to me, I would have just said, like, thank you for letting us know. We're going to look into it. I will refer to, or thank you. I always say us. I don't know why I'm like the size of 2 people, so I make myself an us. Thank you for letting me know. I will refer it to our superintendent. I will get back to you. That would have been my normal response. It's my teacher response. But what concerns me about the way it was responded, and then the way that pushed forward the play on social media, was we didn't have any facts. And now all of a sudden we have this faction of people who lost complete trust in us and us as a board of education. And it makes us look crazy, and that we aren't competent as a board when we spiral in that. And I take what I do, it's my life, right? I'm like education is literally my life. It has been since I was 22 years old. And when I see this spiral and parents are angry with the school district, and then they go home, and then the kids are like, it snowballs. And I feel like the response and how it started with the letter that you wrote, but then it snowballed into this big thing because it played out on Facebook. And that makes me feel like we aren't doing our job or we're not viewed as people who can do their job competently that we were elected to do. So that's just my commentary on it.
Anyone else? Mr. Brando?
I appreciate that. So I think what concerned me the most about your email, and Danielle pretty much hit on it, but I want to make sure you hear it from me, is that we just honored our administrators, we just honored our teachers and our paraeducators. We talked about how challenging it is to be an educator right now. And in less than an hour, your language in your email assumed guilt of people that you didn't know whether or not, you didn't know any facts. You didn't even know technically the facts of the student interaction. I mean, you knew one side, and I think what I wish that you would have thought of before you hit reply was, how can I help this parent without assuming the administrators or Dr. Brummett can't do their job? And that is how your email read. It read, as Attorney Mooney stated, as everything in that email was a fact and that you were going to do something about it. I think when I sent the email, I reminded you of the policy, which you helped write. I didn't help write it. I actually played no part in writing that policy. Yeah. I'm not a big policy writer guy, but you did help write it. And I remember that you were given praise for what you did to help move that along. You had concerns, you came to the policy committee, you provided some insight, and they worked around what you thought and what others thought. And they came together, you worked together, you came up with a policy. And then about, I don't remember the timeline, less than a month later, I feel like your actions violated the policy. Now, I want to make something clear though. I didn't put any of this on the agenda at any time. My email is the only thing that I said relative to this topic before it came onto our agenda. But I did see on social media that when you posted the statement that Attorney Mooney stated, somebody asked you what's going on, and you said, and you pasted my email, and you said that I am obsessed with you, which you said again today when I responded to another email that you sent. I'm not obsessed with you. I'm tired of reading how you bully our staff, and I'm just tired of it. And I'm trying to respect Dr. Fletcher's rules of getting personal, so that's not my intent. But I don't feel like you are a part of a Board of Education team, and I stayed quiet for a while. There are plenty of reply alls that have gone on since you've been on the Board of Education that I didn't reply to, but I've gotten tired of it. This isn't the first instance where issues have gone to the public that were, let's just say, not so factual, and then it led to how Danielle just described the fact that the public loses trust, not only in the Board of Education. Honestly, a lot of people didn't vote for me, so they're never going to trust me. But we need them to trust Dr. Brummett and her team. And that's not to say that Dr. Brummett and her team are always going to be perfect. But we can't have them lose trust for something that isn't exactly factual. And I'm not going to get into the other issues right now because we're specifically talking about this. But I don't know why the assumption was that me sending an email reminding you of the policy somehow meant that I had an axe to grind and I was going to get you to get reprimanded at this table. They can verify. I never suggested that happened. I did say the policy. If the decision was through, all of the, talking with Attorney Mooney that my point was correct, or they felt like it had some sort of justification, that's fine. But I didn't suggest it. And I think you assumed that I did. I don't disagree with the action that you should at least understand that we have policies, we have our roles for a reason. And when we step out, it has potentially unintended consequences, but sometimes consequences that other people are looking for so that they can point a finger at our school system. So I'm sure that you have other things to say and I won't go on and on. I just wanted to throw those thoughts out there for now and let others speak.
There is another concern, and that's there's information even now. When we were in executive session with the town council, we were advised by the town attorney that we were not to release any information concerning the incident at the high school. Yet that information got leaked out to the public, and assumptions were made by people on Facebook of the public that we're covering something up again. And that was not the fact. There were a lot more things involved in that. And unfortunately, somebody stated to me that you're the one that told them. To release information,
Oh, who said
to
that?
release information from an executive session is improper and borders on illegal. Okay? That concerns me. Information given to a parent, false information about an incident. So people are being accused of things, which now we can't even talk about it tonight. We're in public session. It's part of what we had on there that we wanted to discuss with you in executive session. What I want to see and what I want to have is cooperation. We cannot come to the place where we as individuals feel like we do not have any accountability. Yes, we are elected by the people of this town, and we are elected to the Board of Education, which means that we have to function according to the policies and procedures that are pre-established for us to operate in. We do not make our own rules as we go forward. We do not make ourselves exceptions. And we understand that you are an attorney. And that comment that was made wasn't necessary. I could say here, I could tell you, Dr. Brummett is an administrator. I'm a former, well, I still am an administrator, not in Newington Public Schools. I'm a school administrator. We know how to run schools. We know how to do these things. Just because you are an attorney doesn't qualify you to know how to run a school.
You're making it awfully personal, Dr. Fletcher.
Well, you made it personal with that one, and I'm trying to keep it on the border of that. But it's true. There are a lot of things that are said in emails that shouldn't be said. They're inappropriate. Personal things that you say to us. That's not necessary. You know, let's be professional. Let's be the people that we were elected to be. There is an accountability that each one of us have. We are accountable to the policies. This is why we're here tonight, so that we can all come to that understanding once again of what and who we are accountable to and work within those parameters. And if we do that, then we can make things happen better. If you want to comment, you go ahead.
So, I mean, I guess let's go backwards. So that there was information leaked from an executive session. It happened in September, I believe. And there's publicly made information out there since July. Any internet post that you're referring to was from before an executive session. Therefore, there is no executive confidentiality. So that's way off base. And if somebody told you something that I said something, number one, doesn't make what they said true. And number two, who was it?
I'm not going to disclose that to you unless that person says I can.
Then I've given it enough of a response then.
Yep, you have.
Second thing is, you said that I made a statement in your inappropriate letter that you sent out on behalf of the entire board without notifying the board, that I sent out a communication, and by using Richard Leverrier, Newington Board of Education, that I was somehow speaking on behalf of the board. That's not true. Okay, that's a signature block. All right, and you know, when you sent out that communication versus via Parent Square and then had it disseminated over Facebook on every single school Facebook post? Yeah. Let's talk about spreading information online and stirring controversy. And by the way, using an official government channel of communication for a political message.
That wasn't a
Yeah, that's a
political
violation
message.
of ethics laws.
Wasn't a
So
political
don't tell me
message,
about what's
Richard.
illegal, okay? And
Yep.
by accusing me of violating a policy and interfering with an administration or operational matter, I'm always going to speak to my constituents, my voters, and parents in this town. If you don't want to talk to them, that's your prerogative, okay? Board Policy 1312 says that if a parent comes up to you about an operational matter, you're supposed to refer that matter to the appropriate administration.
Right.
If you read my message, it says, I will personally speak with Dr. Brummett about how to resolve this matter. That is a referral and to the administration. And then when Michael, who just made his comment about how he, pointed out that he thought that it was in violation of the policy, I responded saying, I referred the matter to Dr. Brummett.
That's not.
And you, okay, thanks. And you didn't come to me. You didn't call me. You didn't ask for an explanation. You just went after me. And it's unbecoming. It's unbecoming.
Let me make something clear. I will not communicate by phone. I will not communicate with any member of the board by text to discuss board business. I will only do it through our official emails. Therefore, I have verified statements that are made. I keep copies of them. They are archived here. At any time, we can pull them up. And in certain situations, it is wisdom to avoid personal contact. Now, I would ask Attorney Mooney to respond to your statement about what I did being inappropriate and political. Using,
Well, certainly political is not the appropriate term here as chair. I believe you invited Mr. Lavier to an executive session to discuss concerns. Mr. Lavier did not attend that executive session, though he came immediately when the meeting, public meeting started. Every board member has the right to express their concerns to another board member. And I think the chair has a particular responsibility if the chair sees that conduct by a board member is interfering with the effective operation of the school district. So I don't see it as political. I don't know political parties. I see this as a matter of concern. I do want to just, if I may, just follow up. The question here is whether Mr. Lavier violated policy 1312. And I just heard Mr. Lavier say, and I would defer to Mr. Lavier's further elaboration, but I inferred that he said he didn't violate the policy because he referred the matter. I would just question that assertion because the email in question doesn't refer the matter without judgment. The email in question said, I will personally reach out to Dr. Brummett to inquire about the inability to resolve the matter. That's a judgment. That's not a referral. That's a judgment. And it goes on. The time has come and now passed to stop this bullying. That is another factual assertion. So I would welcome Mr. Lavier's explanation how that doesn't violate Board Policy 1312. It is not a referral.
The original email that was sent by a parent had Dr. Brummett copied on it. So Dr. Brummett was in receipt of the initial email. Dr. Brummett was aware of it because she was on the initial email. Mr. Lavier then responded with his email and copied Maureen again, which she was already copied on the original email. So I was a bit confused because you stated that you would refer it to Maureen, but it was, Maureen already knew about it. It was already in her email. So doing that, she already knew about it. Why would you do that? Like she already knew about it because she had the email. So you personally taking action, and I guess my issue is I can't respond during business hours, but I was looking at this email and I said, well, any one of us would respond with, wow, I don't want to hear this situation. I will, I want to make sure, so-and-so parties would be privy to this. So-and-so parties were already on the email. So I'm just unclear what the inclination was to then say, you personally would take care of it, rather than at least asking Maureen, hey, did you see this first? And then making sure that there's appropriate response to do that. I think there has been blatant disrespect over and over again to Dr. Brummett, to this board. Not only have we said, please do not reply all, you continue to just ignore that for months, years at this point. And I am going to make it personal because I'm honestly tired too. It is an absolute disrespect. You do not trust this administration, and that's fine, but you don't need to be disrespectful about it. And one of the tenets that was just given tonight was to our elementary school students about being respectful. You are not setting an example for those students. You are being disrespectful in your communications. Your tone, your accusatory nature of things before actually getting the facts and inquiring about things is harming our district, this board and our district. I'm very concerned about the future of our school district because of the harm that has been done, because of the misinformation that has been put out there. My concern with this is that you were a part of this policy. And with this policy, we always say that we will go and make sure, and we want to encourage that. This now makes it seem like people will not read the first sentence of this policy, which is we encourage parents to reach out. You assume guilt on the school system before we can get the facts, and then before we can actually have a productive conversation and help the parent and the student. It makes for more incendiary comments, and it blows everything up. So it makes our school district, not only the administrators and the teachers involved harmed, but then what is the outcome for the student and the parent? It lessens the likelihood of an actual solution. We want to be a solutions-based board, and this only makes it so that it will be harder to find a solution. It is incredibly frustrating to try and communicate and make sure that we are doing right by our students when you're constantly out there saying random stuff that is not true. And it's incredibly frustrating because I have not got along with some previous board members, and there was still respect. There is no respect here. I wish you would be able to treat us with respect. Put an example for our students, because you just heard, be respectful. What we owe you is respect, but it needs to be the same way. And I have not understood why there is so much animosity towards this work. You spent the entire time right before, as we were reading off teacher resolutions, writing down on your notes about what you were going to say instead of listening to them. I watched you do it.
You don't know what I'm writing down.
Yeah, you scribble all the time, and then you say things under your breath.
Now writing notes is a.
You literally just read right off the notes that you just wrote.
Okay, let's move
My
on.
point being, and we're getting off point, but my point is, I really wish you would respect the board, and I try and give you the benefit of the doubt every time. You don't show the same respect to everyone here.
So there's a lot of talk about what assumptions about what my meaning is, judgments about what is inferred, implied. My words are my words. There's not your guys' assessment of what I'm implying. That's your thoughts, not my words. That's it. Anybody else?
Okay, but you didn't answer my question. Why did you respond? I did. Why did you respond if Maureen was already copied on it?
Because a parent sent that email to me.
But
and
why
we
did?
and you said it yourself, we encourage
But then you
The
said you
entire-
would send it to Maureen personally, but she already was on the email.
I personally went to Maureen with it.
That email was sent to the entire board.
It wasn't
Yeah,
sent.
and I
personally.
Not just
and I
you.
went to Maureen, messaged Maureen and asked her what was gonna be done about it.
Except for you.
So,
My question is, why do you feel like you take on the responsibility of the board? We
I'm
constantly
an
have,
elected official and.
we are an elected board though.
Okay, so you can say what you want, or you can ignore your voters. You can do whatever you want.
No.
Stop.
In these matters, individual conversations should not occur.
Yep.
But rather statements should be made in turn when recognized by the chair and responses. But I see this devolving into a bit of an argument and that's
It
not
is.
how this should proceed.
Thank you.
Right.
Like, just a general observation, and I'm gonna bring you and I up, right? It's about respect and it's about figuring out a way, right? So I read on Facebook, well, they can't fire him, he's an elected, this is about, we still have a long time together and making our board be productive. And, we haven't always seen eye to eye outside of this boardroom. And you and I both know that, but in this boardroom, we are respectful of each other. We're in finance committees. We come up with some amazing ideas together because we have to work together because it's a we. There's no I, it's a we, and we need to figure out, and I guess I'm kind of pushing this forward, like we need to figure out how this is going to work, because if we have one member like going rogue, we're not going to be productive. And so that's like my just observation.
I would like to just chime in because since that email and prior, there's been communication to this board about the substantial responses we've made to this situation. And I sent that out to the board. I heard only back from 2 board members, one saying it was a great letter, another saying, hey, make sure we reach out to the parent one more time about making sure she feels heard, which has been done multiple times. So the problem with the statement that was made is there was judgment in there. And at no time were you ever reaching out to me. And I wonder still, since those communications have gone out where I've summarized for the board, I summarized for the board 10 minutes after that email went out. And not once did you circle back to say, geez, you did do a substantial response. My apologies, or I misunderstood. There's been nothing. And then it just blew up online. And it doesn't help the situation at all. In fact, these types of ongoing controversies online are costing the district tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees because we have to deal with this in a way to protect the board's interest. And I always hesitate to say that because that implies we don't protect student interests, and that is not true. But these types of situations and ongoing online proliferations are costing the town money. In addition to, it has made several of my administrators ill, needing to seek medical treatment because of the type of comments that are made and assumptions that are made that are not true. One administrator had to go to court because of the comments that blew up online and the threats. So none of this is in the best interest of the board. And here's the ironic part. All those statements that have been made, I have not heard one word, Richard, about how you're helping this parent or what you have wanted to do. I had a long conversation the other day with the Anti-Defamation League. They were amazed at all we had done on behalf of this situation. And I got tremendous insight into that, and I'm going to meet with the mom next week, where short of eradication, parents will never be pleased with how schools respond to this. Because unless it's completely stopped, we're always going to be called on to do more. And we will do more, and we have been doing more. But the real challenge for me and my team is this assumption that we don't know what we're doing, this assumption that we didn't do anything previously, that we haven't dealt with the bullying of this individual student or other matters that have also blown up online. And again, call it what you will, it is costing the district tens of thousands of dollars, and it is not resolving these online postings and questions that come up that are not truthful at all, are just not helping the matter at all. It should be solved around this table and in concert with this entire board and my administrative team. Thank you.
So, My comment on social media, that as long as that I'm a member of the board, that I'm gonna make sure that there's no bullying and religious discrimination. If that's costing the town tens of thousands of dollars, I think that the priorities are wrong, because I didn't make anything blow up on social media before that. Someone else did, okay? I'm not the one who is the moderator of a group with 6,000 people, okay? All right, how much longer we gotta do this?
Brandon?
I just, really quick. So I mentioned this at the end of, it was a meeting or two ago. And, you know, we talk about unintended consequences, and there was a comment where a parent in the district said that a Board of Education member shared with them information that a Newington police officer was involved in a situation at their house. And the description was that it was targeted. And I'm just going to say right now, before I get to my last point, I'm just going to throw it out there right now and see if anybody would like to admit that they were the one communicating with that person about that incident. So then we're in agreement that that statement by that parent, we're all going to say that that was a lie, right? So nobody here in the Board of Education spoke with that parent and said a Newington police officer who was not involved in a situation was the one involved. Great. So just so that's clear, that person who said that a Board of Education member told them misinformation, we are now saying, because nobody raised their hand, we're now saying that that person is a liar. So if you did have a conversation with that person, you can answer to them. That person, talk about unintended consequences, has been talking about me very often on social media. Again, I don't think you understand sometimes what kind of damage you're doing.
So are you saying that I'm talking to this person? I don't even know what you're talking about. So,
okay.
So, and by the way, I'm not gonna be,
Order,
Okay.
Mr. Brandon.
just because
Yep.
there's a
Mr.
difference
Brandon,
between a
was
lie and a
interrupted.
mistake, by the way.
Okay. So I'll move on to my final point in terms of social media and unintended consequences. The parent involved in this email, who I would love to find a resolution for, there was less than an hour between emails. So I saw on social media that a former board member suggested that you did your due diligence before responding. I don't know how that's possible, but that's what they said. At 6:20 in the morning prior to the board meeting that we had, where that parent came and spoke, she had wrote all of us and asked, she knew that we had a board meeting. She wanted to know where it was. I sent her the information at 9:02 a.m. and said, it's at the Helen Nelson room. You can think a lot of things about me. I'm not an idiot. I knew why she was coming to the meeting. So a conversation took place on social media in Mrs. Haven's forum where people were talking about me and saying that I was one who didn't want the public to come to our meetings and speak. I believe Mr. De Silva's recordings were referenced as like, we're trying to hide stuff and I'm part of this. I don't know. At this point, I think that people think we like have a secret cabal where we just like think about like how we're going to keep stuff from people. But I just want to say how infuriated I was when I saw that parent call me an anti-Semite with absolutely nothing. Listen to me. I'm talking about unintended consequences. That thread was based on the actions that took place following that email. When that email took place and it was shared on social media, I didn't share it with the people that posted it on social media. So somebody did, and not a lot of people got that email. So again, we can just pretend that we don't know who sent it to them, but I was called an anti-Semite for literally no reason. And I have to live in this town. I have kids in this town. I volunteer in various groups in this town. And that is, to my knowledge, still posted on social media. I didn't say anything that was anti-Semitic. I literally didn't do anything except question the policy that I feel like you violated. And to that parent, it made me an anti-Semite because, and this is my opinion, I feel like it was set up that you were the only one on the Board of Education that was willing to have a conversation and to hear that parent. And that is not true. That parent did not mention that I actually sent them the information to the meeting. Maybe others did. I have no idea. But those are the kind of things that happen when these incidents snowball. And maybe to some people that's totally fair because I volunteered 6 years of my life away from my family to serve on this Board of Education and knock on doors to get 3,000 something votes. And, you know, we're here and now we're going to be here for 2 more Wednesdays in a row. And so, yeah, I get to be called an anti-Semite on social media. That's great, but it's not right. And I think that a lot of things, I wish you would just take a step back and just think about how your actions impact more than just that one moment that you're trying to help. I will tell you this. I will tell you 2 things. Number one, I don't think that your signature block was your way of speaking for the Board of Education. I've said that to this board. I do think, and I didn't notice this when I said this, you did attach Newington Board of Education under your name above the signature that is always there. So I do find that a little bit curious. I don't know if that was just, you just wanted to pop it in there. So I don't think that you were speaking for us in terms of labeling yourself Newington Board of Education. So I want you to know that. What I had a problem with was your statements of fact, as Attorney Mooney has stated. I believe that you pointed the finger at the John Wallace staff by saying, this has to stop.
That's your
Listen,
belief.
please.
It's
Listen,
your
please.
belief.
I didn't
It's not
interrupt
my
you.
words.
I never interrupted you. I believe you made statements of fact. And I believe that that is completely unfair to not only the John Wallace staff, not only to every student that might be involved in that and their parents, but I believe it's unfair to the parent who had the concern and to that student. You are not the superintendent of schools. You are one of 9 people who are here to represent your community and do whatever you can to help. But if your way of helping creates a mountain of other problems, then I would love for you to go back to that Ruth Chafee slide and stop what you're doing. Just take a breath and think about, if I want to help this parent, which I will say, I believe that you wanted to help them. I believe your method was absolutely terrible in doing it. I don't think it was fair to anybody. I think it was all about you in that moment, and you didn't want to figure out if what you were thinking was true because you read it in an email. So what I am going to ask you, and there is no secret that you don't like me, and quite frankly, I don't really have an opinion of you personally because I've never hung out with you, never spoken to you really that much outside of this. But I'm going to tell you something. Me and Danielle did not get along for her first 2 years on the Board of Education. I'm sorry to point at you.
That's true. I don't mind.
We did not get along. And I will tell you what I am going to look back on when I'm done with this board in November. There's a lot of great things that happen. But this relationship means a lot to me because we don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. But she listens to me and I listen to her. And when she called me out today, I thought about it and I listened. And that's why I said I appreciated it. So I would love for you to think about ways that you, because I'm sure you're going to run again in November, that you can move forward as a Board of Education member and work with the other 8 people to support Dr. Brummett and her team to make this school district the best that it can be. Because I believe that looking at certain problems and shining spotlights on them and creating more problems along the way does nothing for this town but divide us. And I'm going to leave it at that. And I just hope, maybe you're not hearing me now. I appreciate that you're looking at me and listening with your eyes first, but I hope that you will consider what I'm saying, because I actually see a passion in you that you do want to help. I just don't think you are willing to help within the lines that we all have to follow. And there's ways that you can help within those lines. We all do it. We all have parent communication. We all listen to parents who come to us. We just stay within the policy and we just show Dr. Brummett and her team the respect, and we pass it along, and then we follow up to make sure, hey, how did this go? And I'll give you one last example. If you remember the meeting where you left and we had a little back and forth at the next meeting, there was that bus incident, right? The parent who came to us, she had her concern about the bus situation for the kindergartner sibling, right? Remember that? That was kind of how this is supposed to go. She had a real concern. We talked about it. She went to Board of Education members about it. She had conversations, and it went to Dr. Brummett, and then it went to Dean Barnes, and a solution was created. So you, as one of 9 people who are going to ask people for your vote, you have the opportunity to create solutions. But right now, I feel like you're more interested in creating problems than focusing on big picture solutions. So I hope that you'll consider what I said, and I hope that we can move forward. Thanks.
And that is the objective tonight, is to come to a resolution, and we need to move forward. Just a little word of wisdom. There's an old proverb that says, the first one to tell their story always seems right until the neighbor comes along and examines them. So people are going to present things to us as board members, and it's going to seem right. It's going to seem like everything they're saying is totally factual. And in a lot of cases, it's not. So we have to be very careful that we don't jump to conclusions when we read emails. And there's wisdom in that. If you want to help, make sure you have all the facts before you do it. And let's just do it the way that we're supposed to do it and get things done. So I'll allow you real quickly.
Just one last thing. Apologize because I didn't mean to get back and forth. We get frustrated here. But I think it's just important to emphasize too, within that scope, I emphasize this kind of like every other meeting too, because I think it's important to know when we designed this policy, it was to educate not only the board, but the community on how we can be helpful. It was a guideline, because I think a lot of times people say, oh, Board of Ed can do it, and don't necessarily know what we do. And so I think it's important to always emphasize it's 3 buckets. We pass policy district-wide. We oversee and evaluate the superintendent on her role. And then we pass a budget, hopefully. And within those lines, I think it's really important to remember that that's our role as a board member. Our role is not to get into the day-to-day or the student affairs. And I really want to be sensitive to, as we said, the FERPA rights. I think a lot of us want to be able to do more than we are actually able to do. Obviously why a lot of us run, and then get on the board and you understand what the role of the board is. But I think it's just really important to know the duties and responsibilities of a board member is, yes, we can be advocates, but it's through different channels, because we want to make sure that it's done appropriately and that responses are made. We're not here to micromanage every single thing that happens in the district. We are here to be advocates and help. And as we said in this policy, the first sentence, we welcome parent comment. But how we respond to that is making sure that we don't make false statements, we don't come to conclusions, we make sure that all the facts are there, we communicate with the superintendent, and I think that then helps our evaluation, and it makes for a healthy dialogue between the board and the superintendent. And I think that's what I want to see continue, is making sure that we are within the confines of our roles and responsibilities as board members in those 3 buckets.
So I do want to say a couple of things as I listen to everybody. One of the things, thank you, Tony Mooney, for being here. And it does concern me when I hear Dr. Brummett saying we're spending tens of thousands of dollars in regards to these situations. That's concerning, because we have other things, as every one of you know on this board, that we could be spending the money on. Sorry. But we could, like our students. So that's concerning to me. Danielle, I know you've went over this policy, so have you, and I think it's Beth, right? Yeah, sorry, I'm usually virtual. I really know you're not going to agree with me, but I do think we should go over it again. Some of the things that I think we should add is maybe a time frame, right? So therefore we don't get in these situations. Let me just say something. It does say, and I don't have it memorized, that if the parent doesn't feel there was a resolution. So as I read that email, and please correct me, the parent didn't feel like there was a resolution. So now let me just look from both ways. You felt the parent didn't have a resolution. However you crafted the email, you felt like that was your way of saying to Dr. Brummett, in your mind, right, that go ahead and look at this. I think that we need to revise that policy again. And I know you worked hard on it and I know you had input, but clearly it's not clear enough. We need to have timeframes. If a parent doesn't feel like there's a resolution, how long do we give Dr. Brummett to respond? And I know that sounds very juvenile, but in situations like this, we kind of need that. Because if you're saying it was 10 minutes and you could have been looking at your phone or helping with a student, there has to be something in there where it's, if Dr. Brummett is aware, she should get a certain time frame to respond. And I don't think that's too much to ask. And if there's an issue where you don't like her response, any of us, then there's a time frame you have to respond to her directly. That is my proposal, because the policy as it stands, I don't want the parent to feel like Anastasia Yap doesn't care, because I care about every student. I'm a mother, even if I wasn't a mother, I'm a firm mom, and we just all care. So we should add the time frame. That's my opinion. We should stop spending money on Attorney Mooney. Sorry, I like you, but sorry, we need to stop spending money on him, because there's so many things our students still need. We have budget issues. We're fighting for dollars, but we're spending money on legal fees for things that we can avoid. You're an elected official, you cannot be removed. But we don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars trying to figure out how to correct what they feel or others feel are inappropriate actions. So please, I'm begging that we revise this policy. I don't care how long it takes, add timeframes so it can help the situation, and use those extra dollars that we're spending towards our students. Thank you.
Miss Yap, you make an assumption that I wouldn't agree with you, and that's a problem, because I was actually thinking about, we need that policy clearer, more clear. There's other things that I think need to be added to that. So I will talk to Mr. Farisi about that. But I also want to just bring up, because I know public perception, the last part of the policy says, like, if the resolution hasn't come to you, go to the superintendent. And I think there needs to be something in there, if there's a problem with the superintendent, what it needs to do. And not that I think there will be, but I also want to say, we have had, and Mr. Branda and I have stayed up until 2 o'clock in the morning, often, that wonderful time. Like, if our superintendent does something that is not in the best interest of our students, and that's where I don't think it's in the policy, and I think it needs to be something in there, we will, as a board, of course, address them. And, we've had superintendents where we lost faith in them, and there was a lot of executive late night sessions, and that's when he became like my best friend. So, I do want the public to know that, like, I don't want it to come back that we're trying to just protect Dr. Brahma, which we are supporting of her, but it is also along the bucket to make sure that she does her job, and rest assured that we will make sure that she does her job.
Do you have any further comments or any information you want to share with us, Attorney Mooney?
Very briefly, I just wanted to welcome the suggestion that the policy be reviewed, because the important thing is that this policy should be written in a way that works for this board. I will point out that the board has an ultimate oversight responsibility, and that when a complaint can't be resolved, it's appropriate for that complaint to come to the board. This policy already says that. So that piece is already in place, but whether and how you amend this policy to be more user-friendly, to be more clear, to help guide the board in its work, I would welcome the board's further deliberation on that topic, because as Ms. Weaver just said, the board has 3 basic responsibilities: employ a superintendent, adopt policies, and adopt a budget, you hope, right? So this is right within the fundamental responsibilities of the board. To the extent there are any questions about this policy, then by all means, I would welcome this board to review this policy and make whatever changes you think will be more helpful to this board in moving forward.
Very good. Ms. Parati?
I just want to say one thing, Richard, Mr. Leverrier, sorry. Just, I brought my water bottle today. It says, remember why you started. You ran for the board for your own personal reason. And as you got elected, we all got elected as a body. We're not individuals outside the, well, no, we are individuals outside this room. In this room, we are a body. We make decisions together. We may agree, we may not agree, but we are a board. So we're acting together. And I think every one of us is doing this for different reasons. Hopefully your reasons are sound, and I just want you to get back to why you started. Why did you want to run? Why did you want to help the students of Newington? I think you care a lot. I think you just need to remember why you started and why we're here, and we're here together. So thank you.
All right. I think that we have exhausted this discussion. I don't think there's any need for any further comments or any questions.
I would just, before you close the discussion, offer Mr. Lavier any final word, because this discussion has been a little bit intermittent, and I wouldn't want anyone to feel that they were cut off.
Yep. Floor is yours if you wish to speak.
I've said everything I need to say.
Okay. Very good. Then I'm closing this discussion. We're now moving on to agenda item G, which is public participation on any matter related to board responsibilities. You can speak if you are here in person. We just ask that you state your name and the street you live on. You can also call in 860-665-8659. Or if you are in the Google Meet, you can raise the little hand icon that's on the bottom, and I will call on you in turn. We do limit participation to 3 minutes. Good night. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Richard De Silva. Good evening, Richard De Silva, 485 Connecticut Avenue. And I was sitting there and I was listening to some of the discussion that you guys had, and I took some notes about some issues. So we cannot see who wrote these letters because it violates FERPA, but yes, it states that it's coming from the police department and the Parks and Recs department. Is it coming from the departments, or are parents in those departments using their positions to leverage the Board of Ed? That is what it seems like to people like me that say, oh, we can't see the names, they're coming from parents. But up there you have police department, Parks and Recs. So that is just one thing. Up until like 3 months ago, Ms. Droz was against anonymous reporting. She even tried to pass a policy against it. But now the board wants the public to judge Mr. Richard Leverrier off of anonymous reporting. I don't understand how that makes sense. You guys were trying to pass a ban on anonymous reporting a few months ago, which I was at discussion and I spoke against. Dr. Brummett spoke about protecting the board interest, but she also have to protect the interests of the children. And Attorney Mooney spoke about Mr. Leverrier validating that parent. Maybe if a girl was validated several years ago, this town wouldn't be getting sued right now. So much for believe women by this board. And Mr. Branda also said that people think that this board is a secret cabal that is keeping secrets. Okay, if that is the case and you're concerned with the interests of the children, when was the asbestos discovered versus when it was announced? Because when I asked that question, Mr. Fletcher over there was more concerned with potential litigation than to answer that question. Obviously, you care more about money than to have the kids look after their health. So we can get these kids tested to see what can be done, prevent any injury. Oh, one more thing on hiding. If you're not hiding anything, where is the public participation section for Dennis Johnson? Are you censoring it? Did you not record it? Like what? And last but not least, according to Dr. Fletcher and Mr. Brando over there, Mr. Leverrier has done a bunch of different things that he should have been admonished for, yet you only chose until after he approached anti-Semitism to attack him. Then you held a meeting to discuss that issue on the first night of Passover, where the Jewish community could not have attended that. In addition to that, it was not recorded.
You got 10 seconds.
It was not recorded. How does that make you not look like anti-Semites? Have a good night.
Okay, Dana Havens. Just make sure your mic is,
Yeah, can you hear me on this device? I've switched devices from the last meeting.
it's kind of hard to hear you. Just try to speak as clear as you can.
Okay. I just wanted to speak to my friend Mike Branda again. You mentioned that you were called an anti-Semite on my Facebook page, but you did neglect to mention that I defended you in that comment. Also, speaking of Facebook pages, you yourself, I mean, you guys have Richard up here because he responded to an email, but Mr. Branda responded to this woman on his public Facebook page to the point where he questioned her motives for coming forward, which is what she says is what caused her to call him an anti-Semite. Still defended him on that. However, then he went on to give an imaginary scenario that totally mimicked her scenario and implied that this child who was being bullied was actually the bully and was untruthful. So, you know, this woman has reason to be upset, and I am wondering why we're not seeing a meeting, or why Mike Branda is also not being called up for the things that he is saying. Is it because they're not against the school but only against the parent? It's odd. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Johnson?
Hi, this is Dennis Johnson. I live at 64 Garfield Street, Newington, Connecticut. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
You know, I got a text message tonight telling me that Mr. Laveri was being accused of providing me with the false information about the Wayne Corvo, the security guard at Martin Kellogg, and his brother, the Newington Police Department officer, who came to our house late at night and startled us to death. Well, excuse me, not to death, but startled us very badly because of the post I made on the Facebook page. I can tell you right now that I have never communicated with Mr. Laveri in writing or on the phone or on Facebook, except once I said Happy New Year or something. So Mr. Laveri is not the person who gave me that wrong information. So that's all I really want to say. However, I also want to add that I think that the Newington Public Schools has let my son down so badly, and the Board of Education has done absolutely nothing, to my knowledge, in 3 years. It seems to me like you ignore the problems, and I've put this in writing numerous times. You ignore the problems. You don't want to acknowledge it. And then it's denial, denial, denial. And it seems like there's a pattern here. And if I understood that attorney correctly, the Board of Education does have some power to mediate. But if you don't have any power to mediate and resolve these problems and just hire lawyers, we have a problem in our system. The system has to change. Thank you.
Okay, Thank you very much. Ms. Havens, if you don't mind, just put your hand down. All right, and I don't see anybody else. Google Meet, nobody in the room. All right.
Mike Camillo, 126 Willard Avenue. A lot of the stuff that you're talking about, you can do out in this room and not on Facebook. Most of you should stay off Facebook. I haven't been on in a couple of years. I don't care what you write or what you say about each other. But sit down, have a beer, have a cup of coffee, and hash it out there because the public doesn't need to hear this. Please stop. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So we're going to move on now to any final comments that any board member wants to make. I'll begin with you, Danielle.
Dr. Fletcher, I know we are not supposed to respond to the public, but I had to go to the bathroom because, well, I'm old and I heard my name as I was coming in. So, I did not try and pass, and Amy kind of whispered because I'm not sure what I tried to pass. Again, I feel like a broken record. We are not an I anywhere in here. The original policy that we are referring to, 1312, about concerns, public concerns, came to us. It was already written. It was a CABE policy, and it was our charge to rewrite it. We brought it to the board. There was discussion. We said, okay, we're not ready. Then we had another meeting. I cannot emphasize that it is, and I whenever, because I'm the chairman of the policy committee, it doesn't really mean that it doesn't mean I have no power. I feel more like I'm a facilitator of it to make sure like Steve and I are on the same page and we're ready to do it. So I just want to, again, for the public's misunderstanding of that, the anonymous complaint part of it was if someone complains to us anonymously, there was nothing we could do to let them know about what was done. And it says, like, if you do it anonymously, like, we can't do it, like, we can't tell you, we can look into it, but we can't get back to you because we don't know who we're getting back to. So that was the first thing. And the second thing, I'm not going to say, I don't like name calling and I take it very personally. Actually, I'm going to say something. My mother-in-law is Jewish, and I'm not saying like, oh, I have a black friend, I'm not racist. Like, literally, I know more about the Jewish religion than many Catholics. I'm offended by that statement. I am part of this board. So when you say the whole board, it's me as well. I'm going to tell a story, and I'm going to Jessica Weaver this. I'm sorry. I was in charge of a bulletin board at school, and something was put on the bulletin board by my students that I didn't know anything about. It was about a political thing that I just truly didn't know. And a mom had contacted me and I said, please come in and educate me. I don't know. And there was no, like, these students didn't know, there was no offense meaning, but offense was given. And that's when we talk about that equity. The mom came in, the son came in, they talked about it. I learned about Palestine. I did not know anything about it. I took this picture down. I thanked the kid. We had good conversations about latkes and how do you make your matzo balls and how do you take, what do you eat at Passover? Like the whole thing. We talked about making like chocolate crack using, using saltines, using matzo. Like, it was a great conversation. It was a great conversation with a very educated woman who taught me. It is such a term to just throw around. And there's so many people who are anti-Semitic, and it makes me sick that is just thrown around. And it's not okay. It's a terrible thing. Religious persecution is wrong. And to just be like, it needs to stop just being sprinkled around that's it. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Ms. Party, do you have any comments? Mr. Leverrier? Squeever?
It's unfortunate that we have to end on this kind of note with very incendiary accusations and comments. I just want to say we did try to do this in executive session, and we have tried to make sure that, this board is, and at this table, like I said, with respect and above board. I take, as Ms. Stroh said, a lot of qualms and with some of the comments just made. But I do want to just emphasize again, I think that policy was gone over so many times, so much input was made by all the board members at this table, and except Mr. Brandon. But I think one of the things I want to leave with is, as a board, we really want to be solutions based. We care about the students. My why I started is because I benefited from the school system. Every single teacher that has impacted me. Mr. Lambert was here tonight, who's my middle school principal. Ms. Kraus at this table, my elementary school principal. Why we start and why we do this is for the students, the teachers, and our community at large. I think we benefit when our school system is at its best. The continuation of trying to tear down that school system is incredibly frustrating because it does not only the school system a disservice, but it does the entire town a disservice. I want to just kind of go back to the spirit of the beginning of the night, where not only did several of our administrators and schools get many awards, we recognize our teachers, paraeducators, and administrators, and then we got to hear from a really positive note about how our students at Ruth Chafee, and I can speak that it's at our public schools or at large, are about family, respect, and making sure that they become our portrait of a graduate. They become fulfilling, holistic, well-rounded individuals that will service our community. I hope that spirit will continue to be kind of the mission that we get back to. It is incredibly frustrating when we want to handle this and make sure that we're not hiding anything, but being respectful of others and private information and personal information, and being respectful of making sure that we do not put the board or the town in terms of legal liability. So I think when we keep in mind just respect, and I hope that we can get back to the spirit of the beginning of the night. Thank you.
Michelle?
Hello. So, to kind of piggyback off of what everybody's saying and my own thoughts, I think we really need to start moving forward and try. I hope after this, lengthy discussion, we can start moving forward and working together. I think that sometimes we take life for granted. You don't know what could happen. Look at me, got hit by truck, guys. So yeah, 23 days in the hospital. We just lost our former mayor, Roy Zertarian. Only knew him for a little bit, but he was a great guy. So I think that there's a lot going on, but we also have to remember what matters. Like, we're still here, and we're here to help our kids, and we're here to help our teachers and our staff and each other. And I think life's too short, and you don't know what can ever happen. So as opposed to all the bickering and back and forth, I'm gonna say, Councilor Camillo said, life is short, and this is not necessary. We need to figure out how we can come together collectively, civilly, whether we get along personally or not, and just work together and do what's best for our town, our students. And I see Wendy outside of here at Rotary, so we all see each other at different activities and things, and I'm like, we need to get back to that. And we all have our differences. We all come from different backgrounds. I actually celebrated Hanukkah for the first time this year, and I loved it. And my friends brought me latkes in the hospital, so I love those as well, just to let you know. Yeah, good. So I don't want to drag on, but life is short and you don't know what can happen. And like my near-death experience, you don't know if you're going to be here, and you don't know, our former mayor, when your time is going to come. So I think moving forward, we need to be able to work together, talk things out. I need to take the advice myself sometimes, just being honest, nobody's perfect. But I hope that after this lengthy discussion, we don't have to revisit this ever again, and we can work together and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brandon.
So I'll apologize in advance like Ms. Stroh did, but it seemed like public participation had a theme. So, and I was a major part of that theme, which I found interesting. So really quick, I don't know again who texted Mr. Johnson, but I think everybody here saw and heard me say that Mr. Johnson, you said a Board of Education member gave you the wrong information, and nobody at this table said that they did that. So that is what actually was said. I don't believe, and if I did, I apologize, but I don't think I said, Richard, I know that you told Mr. Johnson that. I know as the conversation began, you assumed that I was going to say that, but I actually did not say that. What I did say was that since Mr. Johnson, you said a Board of Education member post or told you that information and nobody was willing to say they did that, then the person or persons who may have done that would then be saying that your information that you posted is not factual. So if a Board of Education member told you that information that you just detailed to us, then you can take it up with them why they didn't want to back you up and say that they gave you that information, because they made you look like a fool then because you posted incorrect information on social media about a Newington police officer and their family. Number two, Dana, I actually did see that you stood up for me, but the comment's still there and you have the power to delete it. And if anybody said that about you in a forum that I had the power to, you can bet that it would have been deleted. There have been plenty of things said about people that I don't get along with that get deleted pretty quickly. So I can appreciate that you said, yeah, that's not true or that's too far, but we're going to leave it up there so that everybody can see it. So that's a bridge too far for me. The last thing I'll say, Mr. De Silva, I had a lot that I disagree with what you said, but I'm not going to jump in. All I'm going to say is there's a group of people in this town that whatever date election day is in November, I want you to know that I know that you're going to miss me. And I love every second of it because you talk about me so much. You're going to miss me and I probably won't be back, but if I am, I know where the party's going to be. So thank you.
All right, Dr. Berman, any final remarks?
Sure, I do concur with the members of the board who felt like we need to move forward. I implore all members of the board to avoid online postings. They just don't help the work at all. And I think, even our town council member here tonight agreed with that statement. All board meetings are posted online. Jacob Trowbridge is here this evening. He's in charge of that. We tape them all. They get posted online. Sometimes there's glitches, but it's not some sort of conspiracy to not put things online. Everything that is functioning goes online. There's no editing. There's just none of that. We don't use a private company. We use recordings from Google. They go right to Jacob. He posts them. And I would like to express my sympathies to the family of Roy Zartarian. I worked with him a very short time when I first came on board as a superintendent. I had a chance to talk to my dad today, who remembered Roy very fondly because he would go to the senior center and visit with the seniors, and that meant a lot to my dad. They had a lot of nice discourse back and forth, but I always found Roy to be a gentleman, professional.
Very much.
I really hold him in high regard, and I will not look forward, but I plan to pay my respects tomorrow evening. So thank you.
All right. Just as a heads up, we're going to meet next Wednesday, 7:00, but we also have to begin to work on the end of year evaluation for the superintendent. So I will be contacting some of you to help in the way that you did last year as well. Okay. So
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh,
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So moved.